Welcome, everyone. I am Trish Regan in for Neil Cavuto, and this is Your World. Trump blasting the Obama administration over the Iran deal. As the Wall Street Journal reports, the administration secretly shipped $400 million in euros and Swiss francs to Iran, just as 4 American hostages were released. We are going to talk to Ambassador John Bolton, as well as former GOP presidential candidate Pat Buchanan, about all of this in just a moment. But first, as we continue monitoring Donald Trump's speech there in Daytona Beach, Florida, I want to go to Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen, who has the very latest on this bombshell report. James.
Trish, good afternoon. This bombshell report came from the Wall Street Journal this morning. Senior U.S. officials say they were aware of the bad optics that looked so badly here when our secret payment of $400 million in hard currency to the Iranian regime took place on or about the very day that regime was setting free 4 American hostages. They say it was all purely coincidental. The Obama administration said the U.S. was likely to lose a court case in an international tribunal over Iran's claim to some $400 million in assets that the U.S. froze after the first hostage seizure in Iran in the late 1970s. Officials said the settlement of that claim to the tune of $1.7 billion overall came just as Washington was finalizing a separate prisoner swap for the 4 Americans who were set free.
There was a conscious strategic decision that was made on the part of the Obama administration as we were implementing the deal to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon to resolve other longstanding concerns that we had with Iran.
Now, the State Department acknowledges that this was not the typical way we do business, sending $400 million in hard currency, foreign currencies, aboard an unmarked cargo plane to be delivered more or less in the dead of night to Tehran. They said they were forced to get creative because the U.S. does not have diplomatic relations with Iran. Critics are saying this amounts to ransom, and it has emboldened the Iranian regime to take more Americans hostage this year, Trish.
All right, lots of questions right now. Thank you so much. Good to see you, James. State Department spokesperson John Kirby, meanwhile, putting it this way during an interview with our very own Bill Hemmer earlier today. Watch.
Look, you can believe us, who talked about this on camera and on the record since January, or you can believe an unnamed anonymous defense official from Iran. You choose who you're going to believe to be more credible.
All right, let's get reaction right now from former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, John Bolton. Ambassador Bolton, welcome. How would you characterize this? Do you see it as ransom?
Of course it was. This deal, together with the nuclear deal, was all part of the same package. And the White House spokesman all but admitted it in the passage you just broadcast, saying they made a strategic decision to try and wrap everything up together. And they did.
They did it all together. You know, I just look at it and I say, how does $400 million go missing effectively? Because, you know, I know it was in Swiss francs and euros, but they had to somehow purchase those Swiss francs and euros. So $400 million just suddenly sort of disappears from the coffer. I mean, if you were a business and suddenly $400 million went missing, there would be a whole lot of questions asked. I don't know how something like this gets done, Ambassador, in secret.
Well, very easily if you're determined to keep it secret. What they were doing was providing the down payment that was the trigger to get the hostages released. And the chronology is very clear here, and it's tied directly to the nuclear deal. January 16th of this year was implementation day for the nuclear deal. On January the 16th, Tehran announces the hostages are going to be freed. Interestingly, they don't depart Tehran until Sunday the 17th, purely coincidentally after the plane with the $400 million lands. This is not hard to figure out. Admiral Kirby really should be hanging his head in shame to make the claim that he did. This was an embarrassment for the United States. It was an act of appeasement. It's just really, it leaves me speechless.
So John, what the administration is saying is, look, this is $1.7 billion that the Iranians were owed, and they've been very secretive, I should say, about the actual timetable for how they would get paid back this money. But going back to last January, they're saying $1.7 billion is what they're owed. Here is Josh Earnest trying to explain some of this away here today. I'd like to get your reaction on the other side. Watch.
It was hard for the United States to make an argument, in this case, that we could just keep the money. So what the United States did was resolve a long-standing claim at The Hague that saved the American people potentially billions of dollars.
Okay, Ambassador, so he's saying, look, we have owed this money since 1979. We needed to pay it at some point. The Hague would have decided that we would have paid a whole lot more, so we actually saved you all money. Do you buy that? He's
a fool. Look, this claim has existed, as he admits, for 35 years. There was no rush to resolve it. It was a dispute that arose when the Shah of Iran was overthrown in 1979 about funds that they had committed to us to purchase weapons that we were not about to deliver. Even Jimmy Carter wasn't about to deliver to the Ayatollahs. And the claim had been in dispute ever since then, 36 years. So the notion that somehow within the recent few months we were going to lose tens of billions more dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars is just absolutely false. This was part of the endless list of concessions that Obama and Kerry were prepared to make to the Ayatollahs to get that wretched nuclear deal. And now the facts come out, they see the pattern, they're embarrassed by it, they should be embarrassed by it.
Well, the danger, of course, being that, this puts Americans in jeopardy going forward, because if a government like Iran knows that we're willing to pay up to the tune of $400 million, then it's putting everyone at risk. Thank you so much, Ambassador. Good to see you. Good to have your perspective. The